Hello everyone and welcome back to another stream from Aman Talks NRL SuperCoach, here for the full round one now, roundup reaction. It is great to have a full set of NRL games now that we can get our teeth stuck into. We can analyze everything from a SuperCoach lens. Vegas was nice, Vegas was the teaser. We now have all the games for round one, and of course there's a lot of talking points. Probably the main one being that I've had a bit of a crap week, and I don't know why you guys are watching out there, to be honest. I've scored 1173. I left so many points on the bench. I don't own Latrell Mitchell or Cody Walker. What the hell am I doing? I've picked the wrong second row forwards. Keon Klomatungi goes out and absolutely kills it. I've picked Scott Drinkwater over the like of Tom Trbojevic, James Tedesco, Suafar Longo, who've all killed it. So yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm having an absolutely great time, but it is good to be here, good to be streaming. Apologies for the slight tech issue. What happened was I was out and about, so I didn't have my laptop. So I set up the stream from my phone. When I come back home, get ready to go on my laptop, it then says you have to set it up. You have to start the stream from your phone. I was like, oh, well, I need to use my laptop. So I had to delete that stream, start a new one very quickly. But thanks everyone for bearing with me. There's 44 of you watching already, which is awesome to see. And yeah, get stuck into everything NRL SuperCoach. And see, I'm going to see plenty of scores, I think, bigger than mine. 1394 from Jonathan McLennan. 1461 from Jay Marshall. That's an awesome score. 1428 with no Cody from Steve. 1439 from CGN. I need to stop asking for your scores. It's just making me feel worse and worse. 1228 from T19, 1455 from Darry Weller. What else we got? 1117.3. Oh dear, delete app. Yeah, see you all in 2027. I said that when Drinkwater first went off the field back in Vegas and he got -1, was on -1. Maybe I should have deleted the app for real. We got the same score, Aman. Hopefully didn't copy my team because I don't think it would have done crash out for you this week. 1341 from Tyler Sutherland. I'm thinking of past scores around that 1250, 1300. If you're a serious engaged supercoacher, and plenty of scores above that, 1400s. I know plenty of people who've gone over 1500. People who've captained Nico Hines. So again, another person who I didn't own. So it's all not worked out this week for me, but at least it's round one. I can probably definitively say that I will be making a trade, I think, in round two. I don't think I'm in a situation where I can just sit on my toes and just wait and see what happens in round two. Of course, don't need to react too much. Of course, this is the point of Sundays. It's the immediate reaction and the emotions are high. But we'll be back on Tuesday, hopefully with a bit more calmness. But yeah, I'm very happy to see plenty of good scores already in the chat. I hope most of you out there like what I do and enjoy what I do, but don't necessarily always do what I do, because I think if you do what I do, then you might not be doing the best in SuperCoach. But hopefully you all enjoyed the content. But appreciate everyone if you've liked the stream so far, and if you do, if you're listening back to this, please do give the stream a like as well. And if you're listening back to audio as well on, say, Spotify, please do rate 5 stars if you enjoyed the stream. That does really help me out as well. So I think before we dig into all of the games individually, I think want to address a couple of broader topics, because I think we're obviously seeing a few big changes occurring this year. So number one is, if you don't follow me on X, I do recommend follow me on X as well. That's probably where I do most of my posting, I guess, like in-game and whatnot, when the emotions are running the highest. But I just wanted to call out one thing. So this was back in, I had tweeted something on February the 5th. So it was one of the new rule changes for 2026, which is around the restarting of the tackle count. So it said, for certain infringements beyond the 20-meter line, the tackle count will restart, replacing the current 40-meter threshold. So they basically increased the amount of space on the field where 6 tackles can start or be awarded, which is an extra 20 meters. And I don't want to say it's necessarily going back to 2021. And if anyone remembers 2021 in SuperCoach, very high point scoring. Your outside backs absolutely killed it. More teams under fatigue and things like that. The fact that they've made this slight change in the 6 again rule, it's something I highlighted back in the preseason saying, and my exact, and again, I don't want to be like call myself a hindsight hero or anything, but I'm feeling a bit bad with my SuperCoach score this week, so allow me to pat myself on the back for this one, because I said it's one of the new rule changes for 2026. It feels similar to what we had in 2021. A few more 6 again for teams, more fatigue, more points, ? And that was in February, and we're already starting to see some big blowout scores, right? Like even the Knights versus Cowboys was a 10-point game. Storm put on 50, Warriors put on 40, Panthers 26-0, 50 points for the Sharks, high point scoring game in the Sea Eagles Raiders, and then 70 points again in Sunday's game. So we are seeing a lot of point scoring. Now that's not probably solely down to 6 again, and it could also be due to matchups, but it is something that I think, we're still learning so much at the beginning of the season, and that's just one thing I wanted to mention straight off the bat, because I think that will it's hard because we've been operating, and I'm guilty of this too, operating in a system of, we've had this new change in the stats system. Middle forwards should be boosted, centers should be boosted. And whilst some of them are, like, and if you also follow me on X and Instagram, I've been putting up numbers on the change in the NRL versus Fox SuperCoach points. And you do generally see that middles and forwards are on the up. So I lent into that with my team structure, going with more heavier in the forwards. Unfortunately, I probably picked a couple that maybe weren't the ones who I should have. So that's something I, just from a macro point of view, just wanted to call out. We are seeing some big point scoring. Hang on 1 second, guys. Sorry, bear with me for a second. But yeah, keep your comments coming in. All good. Okay. What else? What other scores we got? 12:44. Oh, we called out that one. Atkinson straight to Sanders. Yeah, that's going to be one of the talking points. 100%. 13:08. A whole bunch of mid scores and 390s on the bench. Yeah, I had a lot of points on my bench. Again, I don't know what I don't know why I do these things, but I played Atkinson over Ethan Sanders, and I think it was partly just due to the Vegas factor. I wanted to have more skin in the game, so I played Atkinson over Sanders. Of course, that was a big point swing. Luckily, I did play Moses Leo. But oh my god, I've already forgotten that I don't own Lasati or Joe Chan, who both absolutely killed me as well on Thursday. Sanders, Leo, Chan, and Martin non-scoring. I don't own Noah Martin, so we'll talk about that. Let's get into the individual games, and we'll talk about all of the key talking points. I think that's the main thing. Sewer scores 40 next week. 12-12 from Jim Russo. Captain Cleary. Suafalanga will be worth 800k by Origin. A lot of big opinions flying around, which is what we want to see. We want to see everyone opinionated and whatnot. Yeah, but Tiggy absolutely having my back here. 90 plus people watching and only 6 likes. Come on, people. Show the great man some love. Absolutely. Thank you, Tiggy, for doing my own marketing for me. And yeah, I'm very curious to see, when does lockout happen? Because, you know, with this whole change in the system, lockouts were happening on Monday. I'm recording this at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. It'd be great if we had lockout and Sunday night. That way we can start making rage trades immediately. But let's see what happens when the in the washout. But yeah, starting off obviously with the Melbourne Storm, 52 points to 4. Very interesting game because, you know, everyone was going into this thinking, is there a Parramatta upset? But then Jermaine Hopgood gets that, in my opinion, very soft sin bin to start the game. Even despite that, I still think Hopgood's 50 is a really, really solid score, because I've got the Baller website up as well, which if you would have seen, I put a post about the Baller website and joining their 10K league as well. It's absolutely one of the best websites for super coaches, I think, to be joining. It's got the live stats. I believe they've got the Stats Perform agreement where they've got the same stats providers being able to plug in directly to their website. So the scoring updates are lightning fast, way ahead of the SuperCoach game itself. They're tracking minutes, which is one thing I think is really, really useful. So for example, Hopgood played 54 minutes and scored 50 points, but there's minus 10 points in a sin bin there. So he would have scored 60 in that 54, and who knows, maybe he was on for bigger minutes than 54. So I think Hopgood, if you're an owner, he's facing a one game suspension, which is a bit sucky. If he goes and challenges it and loses, he misses 2, which is probably trade territory. If it's just the one game though, I think he seemed like he was still better on the scoring system. He did have 2 offloads in that game as well, which I think is the one thing that we called out last week during Vegas. More offloads is better in this new system. So definitely Hopgood looking to offload at least a couple of times. Still put up pretty good numbers in that 54-minute games, and his team got shellacked as well, right? So base stats are generally going to be down for forwards in these games where there's big blowout scores. So I think the fact that he still put out 50 for you, I'd be pretty encouraged if I was a Hopgood owner. I kind of wish I was in a Hopgood position, obviously despite potentially missing the next game. What else we're seeing? Drinky down to Ponga, Sua or up to Teddy. Joe Chan is a gun, says Tour Pro. So yeah, I think on the Parramatta side, nothing too much in terms of real takeaways. Like, you know, Will Penasini, decent, 57. He had a couple of line breaks in there. I guess Mitch Moses, to be fair, scoring 40 points when his team only scored 4 points is not the worst thing in the world. If that's going to be his lowest score, it's fine if you own Moses. Obviously, you're not happy, though, with the outcome of that game. Other notable minutes there, you've probably got like a Jack Williams played the full 80 on the edge for 59. As we mentioned, Hopgood 54, Riley Smith 55, Talon De Silva 25. So it looks like Riley Smith will still take the lion's share. Probably still not that relevant for SuperCoach anyway. And then Jonah Pezzett with only the 17. So I think that's a bit of a concern. You know, he had a try contribution in that as well. So he's not going to be like a high work rate guy. So I think he's probably someone that ideally you don't want to be playing every week. And I can see possibly people wanting to go and upgrade Pezzett in the next couple of weeks to someone like a Cody Walker. If Cody Walker continues to play how he did today, and maybe you're really happy with his starting 5'8", like they come good. Maybe it's like, not Fletcher Sharp, but say a Jackson Purdue who looks good, and you want to keep him. I can see people upgrading Pezzett because only scoring 17 points, the output's not going to be great. But again, lots of grains of salt in this game because they got pumped by the Melbourne Storm. That's probably everything I wanted to mention on the Parramatta side. On the Melbourne Storm side, obviously a lot of takeaways. And I think one of the things I wanted to call out is Pezzett refundable? Great comment from Chris Gray. Unfortunately not. You've just got to keep him now if we started with him. Is Pezzett a fraud, says Max Wilson? Oh, let's give him cut him a bit of slack. He's coming up against his old team. I'm sure Melbourne Storm just want, you saw Joe Chan get right into his grill as well. Max Wilson saying, going to do Pezzett to Moses Leo. If you've got that ability to do that via flex, maybe that's not the worst shout in the world. Parramatta do have a couple of tough games as well before the run kind of opens up from round 3, round 4. So if we look at the upcoming draw, they've got the Broncos at Suncorp, then it's the Dragons at home, Penrith at home, West Tigers at home, Titans at home. This is the thing, round 3 to round 7, they do not play anywhere else except CommBank Stadium. It's pretty crazy, and there's some decent matchups in there, like you got the Titans in 6, maybe the Dragons in 3 also is good. So I'm not sure if I'll be, I get if you've missed out on a gun cheapie like Moses Leo, sure, Pezzett out to him might be the way to do it. I'll personally probably just try to stick with Pezzett just because I think that run round 3 to 7 is really good. Maybe he can show something. I never really wanted to play him anyway. That's why I've got Jackson Purdue, my 5'8". He'll play every game, no buys early on. Pezzett, not someone you probably feel too comfortable playing. But again, if you're a Cody Pezzett owner, in round 4 we said that Pezzett's got a game at CommBank Stadium. You can just roll him out and hope for the best. And of course with the flex, your lower score drops out as well. On Melbourne Storm, of course, there's going to be some huge scores, putting on 52 points. I think Su'Fa'alongo was very good in this game with 2 tries and a try assist. His first try was a very good individual effort as well. A lot of attacking stats, so probably not a surprise. I don't think we ever really thought that Fa'alongo was like a high work rate guy. He's more of an attacking upside guy because he had so many points in attacking stats. Like apart from his, let's rattle off the attacking stats: 2 tries, 1 try assist. 5 line break assists, and then we've got those are the big attacking stats. Aside from that, you've got a couple of offloads, a couple of tackle busts, some runs, and 2 tackles. Again, I don't think you've picked Fa'alongo for the base stats. You've picked him for the high upside. So again, it's good for the Fa'alongo owners. I've definitely got a decision to make because I'm a Drinkwater owner, and kind of sounding like leaning towards maybe selling in round 2 just because of this rib cartilage issue. I know he's got that extra week of rest, but I don't know, it's tough with his rib cartilage issues, and the Cowboys didn't look great, and a lot of other fullbacks are putting their hands up. The question is that Drinkwater plays the Titans in round 3. Do I want to be selling Drinkwater before that? But Fa'alongo, the draw for Melbourne is good. You got the Dragons away, Broncos is at home, Cowboys. It's a decent run for Fa'alongo owners. So I'm not looking at saying he's a must trade in for round 2, but definitely someone to keep an eye on. And if he puts out, because the thing is, if he puts out another big score, he's going to have a low break even as well, and it becomes very, very hard to ignore. So I think congrats to Fa'alongo owners, but not sure if I'd be saying he's an outright must straight away from round 2. Moses Leo, very happy with that. I did pick him, and he scored 95 points and decent work rate as well. So apart from that 1 try, you're looking at 24 plus 21, what's that? 45 plus try saver, so about 45 base power. That's pretty decent for a Moses Leo, of course playing in a gun Melbourne team. He had 3 line breaks, and I think one thing we should probably also note, with this change in the NRL stat system, they seem to be a little bit more generous with things like line breaks. So for example, if you saw the Terrell's second try today, it was an error by the Dolphins, and then the Rabbitohs just passed through hands, and then Latrell eventually scored. They gave that a line break. The Fox system wouldn't have given that a line break. And even Kickout, for example, I think got a couple of line breaks last week that he probably wouldn't have gotten in the Fox system, or maybe wouldn't have gotten, I'm not 100% sure. So Moses Leo getting 3 line breaks. I think what you're seeing is a lot of these outside backs, they're passing it to the edge, and if they run more than 10 meters, even if they get tackled and didn't really break the line, technically, sometimes they get awarded line breaks. So just something to take note of as well. Harry Grant, of course, didn't play the full 80 minutes for his 94 points. I'm a Harry Grant owner. Look, 94 points it's a bit rough for non-owners because he only played 59 minutes and he scored 2 tries with 2 line breaks in that. His actual like base stats weren't anything amazing. Like we're looking at 34 plus 8, 42 points in base power for Grant in 59 minutes. Not the worst thing in the world. Grant also isn't like your high work rate guy. He's known for getting these big attacking stats. So he also should be fine for next week. It was just cramp that they said in the end. So happy enough with Grant. Obviously 94 points is good. Work rate wasn't amazing, but still I'll take 94 points. Lasati and Joe Chan. I don't own either of these two guys. 88 points and 87. Look, maybe I was too stubborn on Joe Chan because I kept saying, look, he's historically a mid-40s plotter, but he generally put up really, really good base stats in this game. So you're looking at base power. So you take away that 17-point try, 20 points in line breaks, that's 37, flat 50 points base power. So maybe I'm not totally wrong in the sense that if he didn't get any attacking stats, he would have been around a 50, which is fine. But look, he did look good. I will say he did pass the eye test, and obviously playing outside of Jerome Hughes, he is going to get way more attacking stats than he would have in the past. So yeah, I think Joe Chan owners, you're very happy with that. Lasati did put up very, very good work rate stats as well because he had no line break. He scored off a kick. So aside from that 17-pointer in the try, 71 points he would have scored in base power. So Lasati was awesome. I'm probably just not going to go and trade in Lasati in round 2 just because of this Sean Bloor risk. But if he gets named again in round 3, puts up another good score in round 2, I may have to move on to Lasati, especially if this whole Sean Bloor thing drags out. That was the main thing that really kind of put me off. And again, I congratulate people who did start with him because, you had that option of, just starting with Lasati and then seeing what happens. And then if you got like a Noah Martin and Lasati dropped out, you had that move. Ryan Couchman is another guy who we spoke a lot about last week. I think you've just been able to give yourself a good position here. I think I may have shot myself in the foot by going a bit too heavy in my second row forwards, and that's ultimately what's cost me at least one of these second row forward cheapies. So a little bit sad to not have either of these two guys, but congrats to anyone who did. They both put up really good base power stats. Munster just kind of doing Munster things. I think he scored around mid-40s in base power. Typical performance from Cam Munster, 80 points. You'll definitely be happy with that. Want to quickly mention Jerome Hughes, 66. So I'm not sure how well this is going to look on the screen. Do I even have it open? I'll quickly show you guys. This isn't really meant for streaming purposes, but what you can see is, let me just quickly try to make this look a little bit nicer. So if you haven't seen this tweet or this post from X from me, I've looked at the NRL versus Fox stats and I've ordered it from who got the most versus the least. You can see Jerome Hughes lost 19 points based on the new system, and I believe it was the try assist to Will Warbrick, I think. I'm not 100% sure which attacking stat he missed out on, but he's down 19 points. You'll see later on when we talk about the Roosters, Sam Walker also down 24 points. There is still a lot of subjectivity around these attacking stats that we're seeing even in the new system. Like Cody Walker, for example, today got a try assist to Latrell Mitchell. Latrell still did a lot of the work to score. On the flip side, Nathan Cleary didn't get a try assist for Dylan Edwards' effort when Edwards still had a bit of work to do. So there's still a bit of subjectivity around these try assists, and I think that's still going to be something that we're going to have to figure out. But I just wanted to call this out because I think we're still trying to figure all of this stuff out. You are seeing that, guys like, but say on the flip side, Munster was up 19 points, so maybe he got benefited from something. A lot of these middles, like a Josh King, Cooper Clark, Lasati, all would have been up between 7 to 13 points based on this change in the scoring system. So something I just wanted to quickly mention as well, that we are seeing some differences obviously between the two scoring systems, and it seems as though halfbacks sometimes are getting a little bit affected. But again, it's still very subject to what the guys at the NRL Stats Perform deem. Good scores from everyone really, like Stefano, 65 points. And just going to have a quick look at Stefano's minutes here. Just bear with me for a second. Stefano played, he played 50 minutes, which is kind of, I think, thereabouts. Did get a line break in that, which did boost his score up a little bit. But otherwise, without the line break, 55 in 50 minutes, he'll be pretty happy with. Probably not anything too relevant. I guess Nick Meaney was solid enough with 64. No major attacking stats, but he had 8 goals. That just really pumped up his score. And then Will Warbrick also was good as well with a line break and a try. So he potentially could be a good value pick as well because he's priced in the 400Ks. That's probably everything I think to mention from the Melbourne Storm. Alec McDonald will be out as well for a week with a HIA. Is Hopgood to Couchman luxury? I do think that's a luxury, unless he's really the only guy you want to sell, because as I said before, I think Hopgood's score was fine. It's just a bit of a, I think it's a very, very tough sin bin, and missing a game as well that he's received. Drinky is leaving my team for sure, says Rosa. 3KU says Drinky downgrade to Ponga. Yeah, there'll be a lot of people going, I think, Drinky out. People will be moving on to Falongo. People will also, of course, be going to Kalen Ponga, who's killed it last week. So let's move on to the Warriors versus the Roosters. 42 points to 18. Obviously, a very, very good win for the Warriors. As a Roosters fan, a little bit disappointed with this. The only skin in the game I had in this particular effort was Angus Crichton. And as I mentioned already at the beginning of the stream, I don't own Latrell Mitchell. The reason for that is because of the confirmation of the 5 chibi centers. I had to drop one of my gun centers. I had Herbie, Iro, and Latrell. I decided Latrell just because I thought with Herbie and Iro, better floor. Latrell's got that bye in round 4 as well. I just thought maybe I could potentially anti-pod Latrell. He's pretty highly owned, so I wanted to take a bit of a swing. Obviously, it hasn't worked out this week, but by going Latrell down to Moses Leo, I actually had enough money to then upgrade because I wasn't so confident in a lot of these second row forward cheapies like your Chans, Lasatis, Labans. I used that money to get up to Angus Crichton. Now, Angus, a little bit disappointed with the 54 considering he did score a try in that as well. So the underlying work rate really wasn't that amazing. Teddy just scored 92 points. He did score a try, of course, but a lot of good work rate in that as well. But yeah, hats off for sure to the Warriors. That was a very, very good game from them. Who would have thought that the play was Tanner Boyd, round 1, 131 points from him. But yes, I think Teddy obviously scored very well. Sam Walker, as we mentioned just then before, was a big, big negative in terms of the change in the stat system. Now, again, I think 54 points from Sam Walker in a game where team pretty much got flogged, you'll take that. I think that's a pretty good floor if that's what Sam Walker's going to put out in like low-scoring games because he only had the try contribution. He didn't have any like try assists or line break assists or anything like that. He actually had 18 points in tackle bust as well. So it's quite surprising from Walker, not generally a noted kind of tackle buster. He did have one line break assist, but even then that's not like nothing crazy in terms of major attacking stats. So good score from Sam Walker considering all things. Although, as we said before, if we look at the change in the system, so if I quickly flick to the Roosters here, and guys, if you appreciate seeing this kind of stuff, I will keep posting these things as much as I can early on in the season. Mine is 24 points from Sam Walker. And I think it was the Billy Smith try is where he didn't get any attacking stats. Whereas in the Fox system, I think he would have gotten try assist, line break assist. So again, still something we need to adjust to with this whole change in stat system. So that 78 points that Walker would have got in the old system down to 54. So I think owners would be a little bit frustrated by that. But as I said, I think 54 points considering the scoreline, yeah, probably not going to be too disappointed with that. Hoping the Roosters have a turnaround next week. As a Roosters fan, I also hope for the same. Obviously, a big game against the Rabbitohs next week for sure. I'd be very concerned as an Angus owner. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the stats for Angus, if we just have a quick look and open it up here, he scored that try off a kick, but that's all he did really. So 54 minus 17 is what, 37 points? 37 points in 80 minutes in base power. Yeah, I'm not loving that from Angus. And look, it's a bit of an emotional pick as to why I went to Angus in the end. And a lot of it was due to the fact that I'm a Roosters fan and I didn't have any Roosters players. And I also thought, I'll sell the Rabbitohs player and get the Roosters player. I did say in the preseason that I'm not sure. I wasn't completely sold on Angus because he had that crazy 2024. Last year he was solid, but never really looked as threatening as he did in 24, just in terms of like tackle busting, breaking the line and whatnot. And I kind of saw the same thing again on the weekend, or on Friday, I should say. Like 32 tackles is fine, but he had no tackle busts, he had no offloads, and 14 points in runs. To be fair, he did have minus 8 points in negative stats, like 6 points lost in penalties and then a minus 2 in errors. So if you take that back, 62 points. But even that, so it's not necessarily 37 base power. It should be 37 plus 8. So it's 45 in base power, which even still, if you're paying 610k for Angus, I'd rather that 45 be more like 60, to be honest. Because for very, very similar money, Keon Kolomatangi just went out and absolutely tonked it this week in terms of base power stats. So, yeah, a little bit concerned with Angus. The fact that there's no tackle bust, no offloads, a little bit concerned about as well. Look, I don't think I'll sell him immediately, but he's someone who, like, if I miss out on a great cheapie and he puts up another kind of mid-range score, I'm not completely opposed to cutting him. Because I think there's a lot of good options. Him to Keon, for example, just would maybe net me an extra 20, 30 points in terms of, base stats and whatnot. In terms of other Roosters players, Tedesco wasn't super highly owned. Nat Butcher put up very good points as well as 72. In terms of minutes, he did play the full 80 minutes on the edge. Again, that's what I'd rather see from Angus. I'd rather see 70 points in pure base power, 57 tackles from Nat Butcher. Bit of a sneaky pick maybe for people considering that. 424k as a mid-ranger. Yeah, something to keep an eye out for because that's a really big score from Nat Butcher. Nonganituasi, of course, scored he didn't actually score a try, but lots of tackle busts, 6 tackle busts in there, a lot of runs. So you'd probably take the 60 points as an owner, but I was never really that keen on Nonganituasi because I think you need him to score a lot of tries to maintain that price tag. Naf White as well, 53 points, and he played 59 minutes. So again, PPM not the best in this one, but again, team got smashed, so base stats not necessarily the best. And Iwelu scored 48 points, which is pretty decent in 48 minutes. So pretty much a 1 ppm. He did get a line break in that as well, though. So 38 points in base power from Iwelu. Again, solid enough. Connor Watson only played 33 minutes, which is a little bit less than what I was expecting. So he obviously had a really, really low score. So only the 14 points from Connor Watson, and not the worst effort from Iwelu for any owners out there. Got very close to matching, like I say, a Reed Marnie. Now, on the Warriors, a couple of talking points as well that we should definitely mention. Zach Greenwood is shouting it here. Laban out for Ryan Couchman. Yeah, Jacob Laban, so unfortunately only scored the 21 points. He only played 45 minutes as well. Doesn't probably help things that Leka Halasima, who came on for him, scored a try pretty quickly afterwards as well. So he didn't have the best of games, Laban. So I'm wondering if it was partly that. But I don't think you can chance 46 minutes for a 299k back row when you've got Noah Martin, who looks more assured of his role. We'll talk about him in a couple of games' time. And of course, you've got Ryan Couchman. You've also got, who's another guy that we've, Chan Lasati, looked really, really good for the Melbourne Storm. So I would probably, if I was a Laban owner, because I don't think anything really happened in terms of the forwards for the Warriors to warrant, such low minutes. I think I'd probably be happy to move off of a Laban. And especially if you're a non-Noah Martin owner. And this is something that we'll discuss on Tuesday. We'll put some more thought into ranking cheapies to buy for round 2. But I think Laban to Noah Martin probably looks a pretty good move if you're not a Noah Martin owner. If you are a Noah Martin owner, maybe you could move on for 10k to a Joe Chan. Although that particular move, maybe you could wait a week if you feel like you've got other things to do or you want to see another week of Joe Chan. But yeah, 46 minutes from Laban is definitely not encouraging. Tanner Boyd, of course, had a huge game, 130 points, 131, I should say. Chanel Harris-Tavita also was very good with a couple of tries, a try assist as well. Tuasa Shek just pumped out a really good score of 90, a couple of try assists in there as well. And James Fisher-Harris and Kurt Capel, 80 points and 74. Capel, of course, scored a try and a try assist, so probably nothing too crazy there. But Fisher-Harris, 74 points in 51 minutes, 20 points in offloads. So we had 5 offloads that went to hand. And I don't normally associate Fisher-Harris as a big offloader. Just something to monitor, because if that's going to keep up at his price tag at 535k, that's pretty good value. The front row forward position is hard because you've got a Payne Haas, you've got maybe a Trey Mooney who scored well, you've got Kolomatangi. We'll talk about Tino as well when we get to the Sharks game. Just something to take note of as well. And again, I'll quickly flick to the change in stat system and look at the Warriors players here. So you can see that James Fisher-Harris in the old system would have only scored 58 points. In the new system, 16 extra points. So we're seeing middles and those offloading ones do well. Jackson Ford got an extra 19 points as well in the new system. Adam Pompey, an extra 12. Kurt Capel got an extra 10 points. So a few forwards actually benefiting a lot there. And I'm willing to bet that they're the offloading types. So again, something to take note of. But we are seeing forwards in general still get slightly better rewarded. Benny says here, Jackson Ford excites me more than Fisher-Harris. Yeah, so let's quickly look at Jackson Ford played 71 minutes and scored 60 and scored what did he score? 70 points? 68 points. Scored 68 points in 71 minutes. What's his price at? He is 588k. I don't know, Benny. I feel like if Fisher-Harris and Jackson Ford are going to score similar, I'd just take the guy who I'd probably think is is a little bit cheaper. Although you're fair enough on the minutes, like Fisher-Harris 51 minutes and Jackson Ford's 71 minutes. The minutes are definitely more in Jackson Ford's favour there. So yeah, something to keep an eye out there. Probably Aaron Clark is a bit disappointing, 47 points, only played 54 minutes as well. So I think this is maybe some of the concern is that they had so many middle forwards and forwards in general at the Warriors. Maybe Aaron Clark won't play as many of the big minutes as he did last season. So maybe something for Aaron Clark owners to take note of if you wanted to maybe move him on. It looks as though there's a lot of good forwards putting their hands up as well. But yeah, overall, a very good game from the Warriors. Just having a look at some of these other scores, like Adam Pompey's, obviously had a good score of 69 points. Nickel Klukstad, 69 points as well with a try. Wade Egan actually was a big loser from the change in system. Scored 39 points in the current system. He would have scored 57 in the old one. So I'm not sure what he missed out on. So maybe people in the chat, you let me know what maybe he missed out on. Probably a big attacking stat is the main thing that I can be thinking of there. Offload King says McGruff NZ for James Fisher-Harris. Leitao was disappointing. I mean, Leitao still scored he only scored 23 points. Yeah, that is a bit disappointing if you're a Leitao owner, considering the other centre Pompey scored 69 points. Is anyone boosting this week, says Rawza. We'll talk about that maybe a bit more on Tuesday. Just, again, raw emotions, trying to get everything, pieced together. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of people boosting out there. Round 3, I'll definitely be boosting, I think. I think my team needs it. Round 2, I'm not sure if I'll be boosting from the get-go. And Cherry Evans a bit disappointing with only 29. Let's move on to the next game, Broncos versus the Penrith Panthers. A bit of a poo slinger. Admittedly, I didn't watch this whole game in full because I don't know if people are aware of this, or actually you're probably not, but celebrated my 1-year wedding anniversary this week. And actually, officially today is my 1-year wedding anniversary. So thank you to my wife for letting me do an NRL SuperCoach stream on our wedding anniversary. But no, we went away for the weekend. We were actually up in the Blue Mountains, which was very nice. And so that's why I haven't been able to watch all of the games in full, but I've been able to catch majority of the games or their highlights. Payne Haas, only the 68 points. There was a lot of errors in this game. So if we quickly look at the all stats, if you look at the errors column, you can see a lot of players had 3 errors, Reece Walsh being one of them. A lot of players also had a couple, and then just a lot of errors in general across the board. So that's probably why you had just less points in general in this particular game. The ball was just less in play. But yeah, Haas 68. Go check out the SE Whisperer stat around Payne Haas, because he pretty much hadn't scored below 68 points in like donkey's years, is what he basically summarized. So it's just unfortunate that he only pumped out the 68 points in this particular game. Just going to quickly remind myself of the minutes for the Broncos, so just bear with me for a second. And again, this is one of the best things to use for the Baller website. Use that. You've got the minutes track there. So you've got 78 minutes for Payne Haas, and he only scored 68 points. I think we can probably put this in the camp of this was just a random down game for Payne Haas, because he just normally would never score that many points. The fact that he got 78 minutes, I think I'm encouraged. So no real concerns or question marks over Haas. Let's go, Aman, you're married to us now. Yeah, that looks the way. Congrats, Aman. Thank you very much, everyone, for congratulating me as well. Why didn't Jerome Hughes get a try assist for the Howarth try? Look, I'm probably going to have to go back and watch the footage. Unfortunately, won't be able to help you right there, Moe. But as we said before, a lot of these players are losing big attacking stats, and there's still a lot of subjectivity between the Fox system and the NRL system. I'm boosting, which comes as a surprise to you, Aman. I know, Benny, you love it. You're a fiend for a boost, Benny. You'll probably use all 5 in the first 5 weeks, I know for sure. I've been a member longer than you've been married to your wife. When are we celebrating our anniversary, mate? Thank you so much. That's a great comment, Benny. Every day with my Supercoach community is an anniversary, because it always feels good talking to you guys out there. How does that sound? How's that for cheese? But just very low scores across the board from the Broncos. Reece Walsh a bit disappointing, only with 34. Look, the Broncos have got the Eels this week at Suncorp. I'd give Reece Walsh 1 more week before I think I'd make a move on him. You knew that Reece Walsh has got volatility to him. And look, to be fair, even if he doesn't score well against the Eels, are you going to sell him ahead of a run of, Storm away is obviously tough, but then you've got Dolphins at Suncorp, West Tigers at Suncorp, Roosters at Suncorp, Warriors away. Warriors away is obviously going to be a little bit tougher. But, I'm reading the wrong draw. Apologies. That was last year. Sorry. Let me clarify. Round 4 is the Dolphins at Suncorp, Titans away in Queensland, Cowboys at Suncorp, Tigers, I think that is, and maybe a neutral venue. Then it's the Bulldogs. But that round 4 to 6 run is very juicy. I don't think I'd be selling Reece Walsh, even if he has a bit of a down game this week. CTS is Campbelltown. There you go. So, yeah, I think Reece Walsh owners, you'd obviously be disappointed. But even if he's got a big break, even in round 3, just given that run, I think I'd be very tempted to just hold on to him. I'm hoping that as a non-Reece Walsh owner, he goes down in price. Maybe you can pick him up for cheap in round 4, possibly. But yeah, on the Penrith side of things, obviously Tom Jenkins was the big winner. And he was actually named in the starting lineup on game day after Isaac Tungo got benched. So I wonder if Jenkins will be just claiming that left wing spot. Because if that's the case and Jenkins is the left wing and then Brian To'o is the right wing, definitely prefer the left winger for Penrith. You know, he obviously scored that double, Jenkins, and got a try assist. And you saw at the back end of last season, Jenkins in that left wing was scoring big points. To'o, only the 38 points, no big attacking stats here, just pure base power. So I think I'm happy to fade To'o for the moment if he's on the right wing. But Tom Jenkins on the left wing is interesting. Although I'm not sure if I'll be moving off my centres anytime soon, just given I've gone down that 5 cheapie route. Dylan Edwards, again, very good with 85 points. Cleary, look, 65 points for him. If we have a quick comparison of the scores for the Penrith Panthers, Cleary actually would have been up 6 points. Now, again, I haven't gone through and fully analysed all of the changes and scores, what was awarded or whatnot, just because I wasn't able to watch every game in detail. But I'm not sure where Cleary got these extra 6 points from in the NRL system versus Fox. But a lot of people are saying that he didn't get that try assist for Dylan Edwards that he would have gotten in the old system, which I think, is a little bit harsh given that Edwards still had to do a bit of work, but it's still something that we're going to have to, just try to piece together and analyze. I know some people are thinking that Cody Walker today got his try assist because he did a double pump and therefore kind of, fooled the defense a little bit, whereas Cleary was just a more straightforward pass. And I think this is probably something else we should clarify. It's not strictly last pass is a try assist. That's more of the situation if it's like a tip on and like a sweep play out the back. But if it's like just passing the ball and then the guy does all the work, scores a try, you're not necessarily going to just get given the try assist just because you were the last player to pass it to someone who then, had to beat like 5-6 players or whatnot. So probably something else we should just clarify as well with the new point system. But again, you can see here that forwards are benefiting a little bit. Apart from Jenkins, Zay Papali'i was named to start on the final squad, scored 57 versus 43, so it was up 14 points. Moses Leota up 9 points. Lindsay Smith up 9 points. Isaiah Yeo, a big popular one, up 8 points as well. Scott Sorensen up 7. I think you're generally seeing that these forwards were up in general. And if we quickly look at the Broncos, not as much here, which is a bit interesting to see. But I guess Jordan Ricky was up 10 points. And funnily enough, all of the backs were actually up points like Reece Walsh. So Reece Walsh would have scored 23 in the old system. So it's hard to analyze trends from just these one game sample sizes. But I think you are seeing that forwards across the board typically are getting a few extra points based on the new system. So quickly just go back to the chat after flicking around a little bit. Is McLean a sell? Case McLean, the 38 points. Look, he's pricey at 650k. So I don't know. Is there someone that you missed out on? Maybe like a Latrell Mitchell. I'd probably give it a week. Who do Penrith have next week? I'm just trying to remind myself. They've got the Cronulla Sharks. So again, not the best defense. Look, we knew that the draw was tough for Penrith. If you started with McLean, I'd be tempted to try to keep him. But if you've got the ability to sell via flex, say for example, like Case McLean to like a Keon, I'm keen on now. No pun intended. But Koloamatangi is someone that looks very interesting. Even a Cam Murray looks really good as well. Look, I don't hate the idea of selling him, but for someone that you picked in round 1, knowing that there was a tough draw, I'd maybe give it a week. And look, we know that left edge is probably better for Penrith. So don't know if I'd immediately rush to be selling a McLean, but round 3 is that's something that you can definitely reevaluate. Look, I'm happy with Isaiah 62 points. He didn't even play the full 80 minutes as well. Quickly just check the minutes for Isaiah 64 minutes for Isaiah. So something to watch as well. I would have hoped that Isaiah was just a full 80-minute lock, but But I wonder if it's maybe because of the bench makeup of Kalani coming on and playing 32 minutes. Something to monitor as well with Isaiah, because don't love if he's not playing 80 minutes, but again, 62 points in 64 minutes is solid enough. And look, Cleary with 65 in what was a tough game against the Broncos. Look, I picked Cleary from the get-go just because I thought he's draw-proof, matchup-proof. Unless he comes out and pulls out like a 25 or gets injured, I can't see myself selling Cleary. And I think I'll be able to free up money elsewhere in my team anyway to make moves. So Cleary's for me someone who's not probably going to be in the chopping block. Updates have come in again just now. Okay, we'll have a quick look at that as well. Let me just refresh the page. Oh yeah, they have come in. So again, we're seeing some, Latrell Mitchell 113. Bloody hell. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts as a non-owner. 113. Oh, you idiot, Aman. Why don't you own Latrell Mitchell? Oh my God. Keon 77. Anyway, we're talking about the Broncos Panthers, but why'd you have to do that to me, Benny? And tell me now. Why did you have to do that? Yeah, Cam Murray 71 as well. We'll talk about that. We'll spend some time on that game. Probably not a whole heap more to talk about from this Penrith Broncos game. Isaiah to Lukey. I don't think I'd be doing that move at least after 1 week because again, Cowboys bench was also a little bit weird with their interchange with the whole drink water situation. So get another week to confirm if Lukey is in fact an 80-minute guy. But maybe something that you can do in round 3 if Yo doesn't again play 80 minutes. McLean to Latrell might be a good option. Yeah, it's good to get someone who scores 113 points. All right, let's move on to the Sharks Titans because the stream's also been going on for a while. We only still got 3 more full games to go. We've only done 3 games. So Sharks Titans, obviously 50 points to 10. Who would have thought that the play was to own Braden Trindle in round 1? But shout out as well to Savs from the Supercoach experience because he absolute madman. He started with Braden Trindle and Nicho Hynes. And they've just gone out and scored 130 points each for him. So just wild scenes. Look, I'm not sure if Trindle is an option because they're not going to play the Gold Coast Titans who looked diabolical. They looked so bad. What was it? 30 points put on them in the first half. Yeah, a lot to be said about the Titans considering that a lot of hype about them in the preseason and then just, absolutely did not come out and looking anything good. And give credit to the Sharks as well. The Sharks were good. Nicho Hynes owners are definitely the big winners here. I know some people who captained him. I just want to quickly see what Hynes' ownership and captaincy percentage was. So let's just quickly filter for halves. So Hynes was 12.8% owned. That's very much a pod. Like everyone owned Cleary, Moses, Sam Walker above Nicho Hynes. So Hynes an absolutely great pod there. And of course, there's some notes here saying that he absolutely killed it this week and was 5% captain. So congratulations to anyone who captained Nicho Hynes. Again, I'm going to try to give myself another pat on the back because I did say in the Tuesday stream that if you were a Nicho Hynes owner, I would VC Payne Haas into Nicho Hynes. And there's something to be said about, and we saw it a little bit last year with Flex, but there is something to be said about vice captaining, say, the most popular guy of the round, if you've got the ability to still do a loop afterwards and you're not having to cop a huge drop in points from doing the vice captain loop. Because if that big highly owned player doesn't go out and kill it, you're then immediately got that potential advantage of then capitalizing, right? So if you vice captain Payne Haas at 68 points, there's no way you're going to take that loop. So you let it run on Nicho Hynes and you've effectively doubled your points there. So definitely something to be said about that particular strategy. But yeah, congrats to Hynes owners. Jesse Ramian also very, very good with a double and a try assist. The right side got much more of the attacking stats in this game with a Katoa try, a Ramian double. Nicho Hynes obviously scored a double as well. Those are the big attacking stats. Will Kennedy, of course, the fullback with a try and a try assist. All that for 69 points isn't anything crash hot for Will Kennedy. But yeah, something to note with that right edge. So actually, I'll quickly calculate what were the base power stats for Ramian because he's someone that we, as a centre with generally good work rate was maybe someone to consider. So 13 plus 6 is 19. 19 plus 28, what's that? 47 points. 47 points BP. Very, very solid from Ramian. Again, you kind of need to just put a bit of stock in that the Sharks aren't going to be playing the Titans every single week. And if we look at their draw, I think this was the money fixture. Now you've got Penrith. You've got the Dolphins at home, though, to be fair. So that should be a good game. Canberra is away. Then it's the Warriors at home. Roosters. It's a bit of an up and down draw, but round 3 does look good. Penrith, I think, look pretty good defensively. So I'm not sure if I'd be going in chasing these Sharks guys. See how they go against Penrith, because if they look good against Penrith, and then you've got the Dolphins then in round 3, maybe then it's an opportunity to jump on to those guys. And if you're a Cleary owner, if you're a Sam Walker owner, I'm not sure if you need to rush to be selling to move on to Nicho Hynes. I think you've just missed the big score, but yeah, something to take note of because Hynes, of course, is typically a high work rate guy himself. We're looking at 26 plus 2, 28, 40, 43 points in BP for Hynes. Again, he's very, very solid. Of course, this was the tricky Trindle show as well. I do own Kale Iro, so he scored 44 points, pretty much all in BP. A little bit disappointed with that. I would have hoped in a team that scored 50 points, I would have hoped for a lot more from Iro. So that's a little bit disappointing. Hynes owner and captain him scored 1200s from the OT, the Supercoach dad. Yes, that's a great captaincy score. It looks like he's kind of saved your week a little bit. Dude, we have exactly the same score. Well, there you go. I hope people don't have the same score as me because I had a crap week in my opinion. Is Iro a sell? I don't... someone else is saying, is selling Iro crazy? Oh... I reckon I'll keep Iro for a week. But it's hard, right? Because you keep him for a week and then he's got the Dolphins. Would you... It's just hard when you pick these gun players that you want to show some faith in them. 44 points isn't great. Yeah, I might need to rewatch the highlights of this game and just see how much they were going down the right side because, you know, now that they've got Sione Katoa back there, he was away for a lot of last year. No, I say away, he was injured for a lot of last year. So the ball was going a lot more to Iro. Can I sell Iro? Could I sell Iro? I don't know, man. It's tempting. Well, I say tempting. It's something to consider. I'll get back to you on Tuesday to think when I've thought a bit more about that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'd be selling Iro. He's a gun. He's a gun player, right? 44 in a week where he scored no attacking stats. It's not the worst thing in the world, right? I'll quickly check as well the comparison of points for the Sharkies. Stone Street was a big winner, scored an extra 23 points. See, Ramian scored an extra 11 points in the new system, so that's something to definitely take note of. Kafusi an extra 9 points, so again, middles. Hines an extra 7. Adam Fullback 5, Billy Burns 6. So a few forwards getting extra points there. Big winners being Sam Stone Street. Iro was down -2, so nothing too different there. There have been updates as well to these scores, for example, to the ones I just showed, because I can see that Jesse Colquhoun's on 44 points. I wouldn't say Colquhoun was a trap or anything like that. I was just not really that keen on Colquhoun. I just thought he was a guy who was going to score you around those low 40s. Played 47 minutes for 44 points. Kind of is what it is. So I think he'll be, I'm going to continue to give him the plotter title basically. But yeah, otherwise obviously a lot of big scores there from the Sharkies. I don't know if I'd be rushing to jump on their players though, but very, very interesting I think with the likes of a Ramian and that right edge generally being the big winners in this particular game. They were barely going to Iro in attack. It's a bit of a concern. But yeah, every time Sharks went left, they were dropping Burns back under to set up the right side again. Yeah, something to take note of because if their plan is to try to target, because also teams adapt, right? Just because they scored so many tries on the left edge last year doesn't mean they're going to do it again this year. So if their plan is to try to move more to the right side, maybe not the craziest thing, but if you went Iro down to Ramian, so you're not changing your team, but you're saving 200k, maybe that's something you consider for round 3. I don't know if I'd do it in round 2 though, because again, you just never know. Teams change things based on them teams that they're versing as well. On the Titans, so we'll quickly talk about some of their players as well, because there is a lot of relevance here. Keanu Kinney's 59. I'm happy enough with that. Look, he's priced very cheap. Team got smacked. I'll take 59 points from him. Fayamani scored a try as well with the line break, so 54 for him. Solid enough. Arama Howe also scored 57 in 80 minutes. I think that's the biggest thing I'd like to see. He played the full 80 minutes and he scored 57 points with 1 line break assist. Otherwise, he would have been a high 40s guy. Now, Tino Fasumala-Awi, 44 points, 49 minutes, 50 minutes basically. Not loving that. Not loving that many points from Tino. That many minutes from Tino is a bit of concern. I'm just hoping that that's purely because of the scoreline and that they just want to preserve him. Excuse me. Because I'd have to think that he gets more minutes than that normally. 44 points is it's underwhelming. Extremely underwhelming. I don't think I'll sell Tino straight away because he was one of my boys all preseason, locked into my team. I don't want to just rush out and sell him immediately. Who do the Titans have next week? I think they've got someone decent. They've got the Dolphins. They've got the Dolphins in round 2, so maybe some attacking stats for Tino, hopefully. Although I don't want to be banking on attacking stats. Look, I think Tino, I'll give him a week. I don't think he'll be someone I look to sell this week. But if he plays 50 minutes again, he's gone. There's just not enough minutes for me. So, especially when someone like Kolomatangi just punches out 77 points and he played like monster minutes as well. I could be definitely culling a couple of my second or forward guns. Like, as I said, you can see my team now. Angus Crichton, Isaiah Yeo, Tino. They all just kind of underwhelmed. And I just missed Keon. I missed putting that money in Latrell, who gone and scored absolutely monster points. So, yeah, bit of a crap week for me. But yeah, not happy with that from Tino in terms of the minutes there. Fillmore 50 points in his full 80 minutes. So again, there's nothing really too relevant from the Titans. But I think on the cheapie front, Arama Howe 57 is fine. 54 from Fayamani. Cooper Bai, we'll talk about him as well. So he scored 25 points. I have him on my bench currently. He only played 28 minutes as well. So I'm not sure what to think with that. With Cooper Bye, again, he's someone who I might keep for a week, but if I missed out on, like I said, like we'll talk about the Raiders in the next game, but I think I'll probably trade in Noel Martin next week in round 2. I'll have a good look through my team, and if I decide that there's no one better to sell except Cooper Bye, I could make that move, because we talked about it on the Insight podcast. We spoke about it a little bit. Generally, these cheapie correction trades are fine. Selling cheapies to get the right cheapies, getting the right cheapies is really important at this time of the year. So a Cooper Bye playing 28 minutes or 30 minutes off the bench versus a Noel Martin playing 80 minutes on the edge for the Raiders, and if he's got good job security, 100% I'd be okay to make that side swap if that's the best player to make in my team. So Cooper Bye is not locked into my team because the 28 minutes isn't great. He might be suspended. If that's referring to Tino, I think he got only a fine. I don't think Tino is going to be suspended. I think he only got a fine. You have all of the underperforming players in mind. Just thanks for rubbing it in, Max. Yeah, appreciate that. No, I love you, Max. You're always in the chat, so I'm glad to see you here. But thanks for just sticking the knife in and twisting it just that little bit more. Yes, I do have all of the underperforming players, and I don't have any of the players who went monster this week. Anyway, it is what it is. As I said, do as I say, not as I do. Embrace the rage trade. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a bit rage tradey for sure. So people were thinking in the chat that Tino's going to get suspended. He just got a fine, so that's been confirmed. So he shouldn't be missing any particular games. David Schuster saying, Drinky to Cheapy Ponga, Tino to Cheapy Joe Chan, I'll be rich. Mate, you'll have You'd have 480k in the bank. And I don't even know what you're going to do with that money, because the mid-ranges are good. The expensive guns like your Walshes, your Teddy. I mean, Teddy did fine this week, but it's mainly the cheapies and mid-ranges and some 600k guys who didn't done well. It's only Hines who's the expensive gun that you've kind of, maybe if you don't own that, selling Iro for 5 cheapy centers and get a second gun halfback in, says Nick. As I said, look, I went with the 5 cheapy centers. Unfortunately, I just got rid of the center gun that scored the most points this week. I don't hate the 5 cheap because I think they're good cheapies, like Tom Chester, Setutu, Fayamani. Just the only thing is that with Tom Chester, remember that he might not get a spot in round 3 because of Zach Labour. So just be wary of that too, because if you've got other trades, you could, instead of selling Iro to a cheapy center, you could sell Tom Chester instead. So I'd be giving Iro a week. I don't want to completely overreact to the 44th this week. All right, guys. But yeah, Tino, definitely not happy with that. All right. Probably one of the more exciting games of the week with the Sea Eagles 28 to the Raiders 29 points. We'll talk quickly about the Raiders, I think, first. Probably a bit of relevance there. Of course, Noel Martin scoring a double, 116 points, played the full 80 minutes on the edge. Basically, the reason that I'm talking like I'm probably going to trade in Noel Martin this week. So the reason I didn't start with him was because there was that Matty Nicholson was playing in Cup. There were some rumours going around pre-lockout as well that Noel Martin had won that spot on merit. So I did see those rumours, but I just didn't want to take that bet just in case he became an issue, say, round 3 if Matty Nicholson came back. But what happened was Matty Nicholson has re-injured his shoulder in the Cup game this weekend. And NRL Physio has already tweeted about it, saying that there's potentially a multi-week to maybe months recovery. It depends on scans, of course. So, but even if it was multi-week, the comments that Ricky Stewart made about Noel Martin after the game were very positive. They basically said that he's been patient, waiting his time. There's obviously a lot of good back rows for the Raiders. But Ricky Stewart just said that he's had a better preseason than Matty Nicholson, and he's more superior offseason is, I think, the words he said. Of course, big attacking stats in this game, but he scored huge base power points as well, though. If we have a quick look at it here, 48 points in tackle, 6 points in tackle bust. That's 54 plus 12, 66 points in base power for Noel Martin at 250k. Yeah, I think the fact that he's probably going to he's definitely going to make it to round 3, you'd have to think as well. I think he's going to be my trade in this week for sure. Which player I sell for him, I guess, remains to be seen, but I will be trading a Noel Martin. I think, of course, barring any injury over the weekend. But yes, I will be trading in Noel Martin, I think, for me this week. So there you go. I didn't play Ethan Sanders, but at least I own Ethan Sanders as some of the solace that I have. So 94 points from him, and he looked good. He passed the eye test for sure. Obviously scored a try assist, scored that winning field goal as well. Obviously that boosted his score too. So, but even aside from that, 22 points in tackled is good. So if we just let's look at his base power plus the goal kicks, just to kind of determine a floor. looking at 20 points in net tackles, 24 plus 16 points in goals. So that's about 40 points. 40-point floor is pretty good. And I think the fact that he's goal kicking for a good Raiders team, I think Atkinson was the guy that more people were leaning towards over Ethan Sanders. In the end, I opted to go for both because I wasn't so confident on those cheapy second row forwards. That's why I went with Atkinson, Sanders, and then the 5 cheapy centers and stacked my forwards. Obviously, that hasn't quite worked out this week, but happy enough with Ethan Sanders. I guess the big question is going to be, will people go Atkinson to Sanders this week? So they've got the Storm this week, the Dragons, so I can see people wanting to do that. Again, I'm going to say a lot, give it a week, because we're still learning so much in these opening rounds. But I understand the appeal, obviously, of a big score from Ethan Sanders. The other thing to take note of with these cheapies is that with break-evens, price changes, the round 1 score is the first score that drops out of the rolling average. So if Ethan Sanders goes and scores 40 next week, he's not going to have as big of a negative break-even because that 94 will drop out after once the 3-round rolling average excludes round 1. So just something to take note of. But passing the eye test wise, definitely Sanders, I think for me, was better than Atkinson. So look, I can understand people making that move, especially if they think they're going to have to do 3 other trades in round 3 and you want to get ahead and do that particular move. Look, Atkinson was solid in the sense that he just made his tackles and did his kicks. But Sanders playing for this better Raiders team probably at the moment does look to be the better pick. So if people say they want to do Atkinson to Sanders, I think that's completely fine, in my opinion. Sanders looks way better than Atkinson, says Rosa. Max Wilson is saying, think every Atkinson owner has to trade him to Sanders, surely. Jimmy's saying, should I hold Ethan Strange? Only scored the 32 points. I don't know. Like, if you wanted to go to, say, like Cody Walker, I don't hate that move because you're freeing up some funds. I was never that keen on Ethan Strange to start with. In terms of draw, let's have a quick look at who the Raiders play in the next couple of weeks. They've got the Warriors away, and then they've got the Bulldogs, Sharks. It's not the easiest of draws. That is something to remember as well. So Atkinson actually has a good draw from round 3 onwards. Sanders is a little bit tough. Just weigh that into your thinking if you're wanting to make trades. Look, with that draw for Strange, I'd probably be happy enough to move on, to be honest, because you've got Warriors, Bulldogs, Sharks. Then Newcastle Knights is away. So it's not the best draw on paper. Manly was probably the best game in the opening 4 or 5 weeks, to be honest. So yeah, I'd probably sell Ethan Strange if you didn't. It's a bit of a luxury move, of course, but that is something that you can do. Hudson Young was good as well, 85 points. I believe he got a try assist in this game, so that bumped up his score as well. But otherwise, a lot of offloads, 12 points in offloads is good to see from Hudson Young. Double for Xavier Savage. Again, Corey Horsburgh, 75 points, all in BP. So something to take note of at 595k. In terms of the change in stat system, let's have a quick look. So yeah, Corey Horsburgh was up 11 points. Hudson Young up 11 points. Simi Sasangi up 17 points. Noel Martin was up 10 points. This is a good example of the forwards actually benefiting a lot in the change in the stat system. So yes, something to keep in mind with these change in the stat system. On the Atkinson point, someone says, keep in mind that Atkinson played against the much harder team. Absolutely. He played against the Doggies. Sanders did play against Manly and they scored a lot of points in the first half. But I guess you're thinking of the team that they're playing for, the fact that he's goal kicking. Yeah, maybe Sanders is the move, although the draw is a little bit tough. So again, don't rush into that if you don't have to, and it's okay to sit on your hands. On the Sea Eagles, Tata Kula, of course, a big score of 108 points, scoring this the try, but a lot of tackle busts, a lot of line breaks. So I know people think about him as a bit of a point of difference. 643k is a little bit expensive for me, especially when we've got these 5 cheapy centers, but they've got the bye as well in round 3, the Sea Eagles, so probably not someone I would rush to. Now, Turbo looked really good as well, 104 points. The good thing with Manly is that they've got a lot of home games, so their next game in round 2 is at home, round 3 is the bye, round 4 is again a game at home. I think the fact that they have that bye in round 3 probably means that I won't be trading to any Manly players. Like for example, if you're trading Drinkwater this week and you wanted to go to, say, Ponga, Farlongo, or Turbo, I wouldn't put Turbo in there just because he's got that bye in round 3. And I'd probably go to Ponga instead. They're versing each other, actually, the Knights and the Manly Sea Eagles next week. I believe it's a day game as well at Manly. So good scores for Turbo. I know a couple of people who went with Turbo. Olukwatu was solid as well with 73, scoring a try. Taniela Paseka, I'm very happy that I've stuck to my guns on this one and started with Paseka over Colquhoun and Flegler. So he played 55 minutes for his 63 points, pretty much all in base power as well. A couple of offloads in there. Of course, some of the base stats for these guys will be a bit inflated because the game went to extra time, but only for like an extra 2 minutes. So I think the fact that he got over 50 minutes, I'm very encouraged with Paseka. So yeah, definitely happy with that. And sticking to my guns in terms of, I kept ranking him as the best one out of the three. So yeah, happy with Paseka's score there. Simpkin 59 playing, I think he played the full 80 minutes as well. Full 80 minutes for Simpkin. So I think Simpkin owners, you'll definitely be happy with that, considering that if you own Simpkin, you probably didn't own Reid Marnie. So that's a very solid score as well from him. 63 points in tackles as well, which is pretty insane. Definition of meat and potatoes. Probably not much more, I guess, from Manly. Garrick only the 37 points. Good win from the Raiders in the end. But yeah, that's some of the talking points. Aman, is that another fresh haircut? I got a haircut last week, but yes, pretty recent. So yeah, thank you for appreciating the haircut. And Atkinson to Sanders doesn't have to be done until the price rise anyway, says David Schuster. Absolutely. It just depends on, do you have other three trades you might want to make in round 3? That's probably the main thing. All right. Last game. Time to rip off the Band-Aid. 30 points to 40 for Rabbitohs winning over the Dolphins. All right, guys, that's all we have to say about that game. Thanks, everyone. We'll be wrapping up the stream. Nothing really to call out from the Rabbitohs. No big scores there. Who's Latrell Mitchell? Who's Cody Walker? Who's Keon Koloamatangi? Who's Calvin Graham? Who's Cam Murray? I don't have any of these guys. They're all bums. Don't pick them. Yeah, anyway, see you guys. That's the end of the stream. No. I wish I could say that. On Noel Martin's job security, it looks pretty good. I quickly mentioned that before, so do definitely scroll back to hear that section on that. But yes, I think Noel Martin's a good trade-in. Why did I fade Latrell Mitchell, says Fangnado. Look, the reason I said earlier in the stream was I went 5 cheapy centers and my 2 guns were Herbie and Iro. I just wanted to go with the more expensive guys, the guys who I typically think have better work rate, better floor, which I thought would work in the new system. And also matchup-wise, Herbie, I thought again was playing at home. Iro was playing the Titans. So I thought of the 3, Latrell was probably the one I felt maybe the one to fade. 113 points. You're kidding me. And the worst thing was that second try. He just got gifted that second try because Osako knocked it on. Ugh. And he got a line break for that, man. In the old system, he wouldn't have got a line break, which is very annoying. But yeah, I'm not salty. I don't know if I sound salty. I'm not salty at all. I'm very curious to see. I haven't pulled all the stats, but let's see what Latrell would have scored in the old system. Latrell got 93 points in the old system. He got an extra 20 points because of this new system. I hate this new system. Cody Walker got an extra 21 points of the new system. Oh, this is so frustrating. So frustrating when the change in system doesn't go for you. It's annoying. When it works for you, it's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, Latrell Mitchell, good player, 113 points. Look, he just obviously accumulated plenty of points, plenty of tackle, plenty of goal kicks, tackle busts, an offload, 2 tries. Yeah, what can I say? This is the problem. I don't even know if I trade to Latrell because he's got that buy in round 4, but he's got the Roosters. It's always a good game against the Roosters. He's got the West Tigers. We know he's matchup proof. I don't know. I personally think that I will fade him for round 2, and then round 3 I'll see how I feel. But yes, very annoying. Very frustrating as a non-Latrell owner. Congrats to the 45% of people who own Latrell Mitchell. And then Cody Walker as well. I was so stubborn about Cody all preseason, saying, nah, I don't like him, not a good pick. I changed my squad to literally make sure I had more money to spend on a 5-8. And then he just goes out and scores 104 points. And look, he had a great game. And look, he got that extra try. And see, that's the thing. I think he got that extra 20 points because he got that extra try assist, line break assist for Latrell's first try. He got it in the new system. In the old system, I don't think he would have got it. Actually, I'm having a look. In the old system, Cody Walker only got 1 try assist in the old system and only and 2 line break assists. Whereas in this new system, we got 3 line break assists in the new system and an extra try assist. So yeah, he definitely got that extra 20 points because of the Latrell first try. But then he was just racking up these 4. Like, he had a great game. He got that 40-20, which basically killed the Dolphins' momentum. And then he just kept getting these forced dropouts. And I was just like, can you stop it, man? Like, you're just absolutely killing me here. what can you do? What can you do? Latrell will be 800k quickly. Yeah, that doesn't make me feel any good. You're not salty, but you sound salty. I'm very salty. Traded Latrell to Nick Meaney before the round started. Not sure what I was thinking. Look, at least you got 20 more points for me from doing that particular move. Mitchell, Jim Rusa. Yeah, good on you, mate. Good on you. Extra points on his banana goal kicks. Yeah, and that's the worst thing as well. You know, Latrell, he plays up to the crowd. He got that banana goal kick and then just went up to the crowd. And I was like, oh. Anyway, Walker as the fountain of youth. All right, let's talk seriously about these two guys. Look, I think Latrell owners obviously are happy. Latrell non-owners, I kind of wanted Tino to get suspended, to be honest, for a game, because then I could have just gone Tino to Latrell via some particular moves. But I don't know what to do. It's hard for me to think about this. Does Rob Toya play next week up against Latrell? I can't remember what the update was on Rob Toya. I think it was only a week, so I think he should be back. The update from NRL Physio was that he won't play after failing to overcome a foot injury. I think they're just being cautious with his return date. Please, Rob Toya, play against Latrell next week, because I need that man. I need the Queensland Origin centre defending against Latrell as a non-owner. But yeah, I think, look, Latrell's a great pick, obviously. Cody Walker looked really, really good as well. So I think he's someone who I might need to just not be stubborn about. And if he looks good again against the Roosters in round 2, and he looks like he's going to be incoming for a big price rise in round 3, I might just have to bite the bullet. And it might not even be at the sacrifice of Jackson Purdue. I might sell Jonah Pezzett to him, to be honest, because I think I'm going to have plenty of money rolling around based on initial moves that I'm thinking of, like, say, Drinkwater to Ponga. If I downgrade one of my second or forward guns as well to like a Chote Chan, Lasati, I'm going to have heaps of money in the bank as well. So Pezzett to Cody Walker could actually be my move, and then just run Jackson Purdue as well. Or I could sell one of my centers to Cody Walker via Purdue. So I've got that flexibility in there as well. Keon Koloamatangi, let's talk about him as well. 77 points. Quickly, just going to have a look at the minutes, so just bear with me for a second. Minutes for Koloamatangi, 71 minutes. It doesn't look like he got a try contribution, but apart from that, you're looking at 73 points in BP from Koloamatangi. The man's run stats are just insane in this game. So have a look at this. 46 points in runs, 42 points in the ones that were over 8 meters. So he had 21 runs over 8 meters. Then 23 tackles, a couple of offloads in there as well. Yeah, I think people considering Keon versus, say, Tino, the fact that he played 71 minutes is very encouraging. So I think that looks like that role could just be here to stay. And we know that Keon is just like a safe set and forget option with those kind of minutes. So yeah, I think Keon definitely high on my radar. Campbell Graham also looked very, very good as well. Scored a double for a 73. Typically gets through a bit more work rate than, a double for Campbell Graham. I normally would associate with him getting kind of 90 plus, but you'd be very happy with that. Cam Murray also looked really good. Played 69 minutes, so that's a lot of minutes. That's more than I was expecting for Cam Murray. And he was just churning through runs as well, like 27 points in runs, 28 points in tackles, a couple of offloads in there, a try contribution. Cam Murray looked really good as well. The concern is loading up on Rabbitohs when they've got that bye in round 4. So I'm just going to have to balance and probably just map out my team a little bit for round 4 as well, because if I want to get Cody, if I want to buy Keon, I can't then go buy Latrell, Cam Murray and have all of these guys on the bye, especially when I already own like a day for feeder. That's probably the only thing you just need to be cautious of with these Bunnies players. But yeah, again, they're not going to be playing through the Dolphins middle every single week. Like the Dolphins middle was a little bit soft today. But yeah, still minutes were good for Cam Murray, minutes were good for Keon Koloamatangi. Fafita was good. He just got that late sin bin, which again was a little bit soft. So you can realistically add 10 points to Fafita's score. Even 68 points though at his price is very, very good. So happy enough with Fafita. Jai Gray was also solid enough with the 60. But yeah, a lot of relevance in the Bunnies in this particular game. Thank you so much, Rosa, for the $8 donation. Thanks for the stream of mine. Have a coffee for you this week. For your down week. Yeah, I'm going to need plenty of coffees to get me through, I think, as well. Don't overthink it. Get Latrell and Walker in. Maybe that's something I need to do. Yeah, don't overthink it and just get those guys in because they look really good. But yes, I think I'm just going to have to... And this is probably my Roosters bias, coming into this as well. But yeah, something to think about with the Bunnies players. On the Dolphins, not a whole heap of relevance. Like Finifuyaki scored a try for that 82-point effort. In terms of minutes for him, I'm not sure if he played the full 80 minutes for Finifuyaki. He played the full 80 minutes, so something good to see for anyone considering Finifuyaki. I don't even know what his price is at. 450k, something to monitor. Asako got that very, very late try as well, so that bumped up his score. Lemuelu was actually an interesting one. 80 minutes for 76 points with just the one line break assist and a try contribution, so probably in the 60s base power, so pretty good to look at. Herbie Farnworth with 75, scored the try off of a kick. Probably a little bit lucky. I think he did push, I can't remember who he pushed, but it was a Hubner. I think he did push him at the very end there to get to the ball and get that try. So a little bit fortuitous, I think, Farnworth 75 points. But look, I'm not really concerned about Farnworth. Started with him. He's an absolute gun. If you minus those 17 points, you're looking at 57 BP, pretty much doing what Farnworth normally does. So pretty happy with Farnworth, even despite, I would have hoped for bigger against the Bunnies, but decent score as it is. And then Cobbo 54, also not bad, considering that he only had the one try assist. I believe this was the one for Hammer. I think I saw a couple of people earlier in the chat saying, would you sell Cobbo? I'd probably give it a week as well. I don't think I necessarily rush to sell Cobbo, unless you really feel like you've missed out like on a Latrell, or he's like your only way to sell to like a center wing cheapie, and you're going to make 3 other trades. Look, maybe you can consider selling a Cobbo at that point. Flegler, disappointing. 46 minutes for 47 points. He was on like 26 with not much to go. So actually the 47 is okay, but considering, the Paseka, Colquhoun, Flegler debate, I think Paseka was probably the winner here considering he played the most minutes. But 46 minutes from Flegler isn't, disastrous. So probably, again, not someone I'd be looking to rush out, but, Flegler down to maybe a Noah Martin via duels isn't the worst trade in the world, in my opinion, if that's something that you are considering. Lockout ends tonight, according to the preseason chatter, at 9 p.m. So yeah, something to think about. I probably can't stream for another 15 minutes though, guys. So I probably can't stream all the way through lockout. In any case, you can see based on my score that I'm not going to have a great rank anyway. You can actually, it wouldn't have locked out yet. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, not yet locked out. But my rank's not going to be anything crap shot, but I'll show you guys my rank as well on the Tuesday stream. Also, I want to give a big shout out as well. I'm fortunate to have another plug yet, but to Get Fin. Again, really want to thank them for being the main sponsor for 2026 as well. They're in the vehicle financing space, so really good for anyone looking at getting lens or finding the best broker basically for vehicle finance for business vehicles, utes, SUVs, all those kind of vehicles. And they're not a call center. You're talking directly to the guys over there who I've had a chat to as well, and they're awesome blokes. I actually also work in the finance industry, and honestly, I really understand how important it is to have a good broker, because sometimes it's not even just about getting the cheapest rate. It honestly sometimes is like what kind of extra features that your lend can have with every bank is a little bit different in terms of their lens, things like loan to value ratios, ability to redraw something. They're smaller home loans, but all these kind of things, a good broker will be able to help you with which the GetFin guys will definitely be able to as well. So check out the link for them in the description below. They'll take care of you as well, knowing that you came from the Aman Talk Supercoach page. Much nicer talking about that rather than my own crappy week of Supercoach point scoring. But again, wanted to give a big shout out to the GetFin guys as well. And guys, I hope you've enjoyed the stream as well, and please do give it a like as well. Let's quickly rattle off a couple of comments, otherwise we'll then wrap up the stream. Was this a good or bad Herbie fade? I think you're happy as a non-Herbie owner. You also probably be happy as a Herbie owner. So I think if you faded Herbie, I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine with that score. The 2 Dolphins second rows could have went huge if they could have caught Katoa passes. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. What's a pass score this week? As I said, probably 1250, 1300, I think. Ryan Couchman or Noah Martin? I think if I had to pick one this week, probably Noah Martin, just because I think the 80 minutes looks much more secured. Ryan Couchman, we don't know what the minutes are like, given that the Dragons play that Golden Point game. So minutes could be slightly inflated for those players, whereas I think Noah Martin's 80 minutes. Look, I say that we need to know what the full confirmation is on Matty Nicholson, but the fact that he re-injured his shoulder, it looks like it's at least a few weeks. Good positive comments from Ricky Stewart about Noah Martin as well. He looks a goer, good BP. I think I'd rank Noah Martin slightly ahead of Ryan Cashman as a trade in this week. Cobbo against the Titans could be getting 150. Yeah, that's for sure. Are they playing the Titans? Oh yeah, they are playing the Titans this week, aren't they? Yeah, look, okay. So anyone who is looking at Cobbo, don't sell Cobbo this week versus the Titans. I'll take that back. I definitely will take that back. Drinky to Ponga and Laban to Martin viable this week, or wait a week on drinks. Look, I'm slightly leaning towards it being okay to sell drink water because of this whole rib cartilage issue. But again, I want to I'll message the NRL physio and just get his take on it. But I know his original take was that with the rib cartilage issue, he was okay to sell a drinky, especially when you've got cheaper guys like Ponga and Turbo who looked really good as well. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up the stream there. Probably went on a little bit longer than I was expecting, but it's the first week. There's a lot to get our teeth stuck into, so I really appreciate everyone for tuning in for this one. There was like over 300 people watching, which was amazing. Please do give the stream a like on the way out if you did enjoy it. And you're listening on audio as well, please do rate 5 stars. And do check me out on X, Instagram as well. Really, really appreciate all this love and support over there. But thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you all on the Tuesday preview stream. Thanks, and all have a good night. Thanks.